Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Red Hat OpenShift Container Platform on AWS. Our speakers today are David Duncan from AWS, Nicholas Gerasimatos from Red Hat, and William B. Hilton from the state of North Carolina. David, the floor is now yours.
Thanks a lot. Let's go over what we're going to review in our topics here. We're going to talk about the joint product offerings, what AWS has and Red Hat. Then we're going to have Nick run through Red Hat OpenShift on Amazon Web Services features, the technologies that are associated with it, and then some of the options and pricing models that we have. Then we'll hear from Mr. Hilton on their use of OpenShift in the state of North Carolina. And then we'll talk a little bit about what's next using Red Hat OpenShift and AWS, an overview of the proof of concept program that we have available, and just some of the details of getting started with Red Hat OpenShift and AWS. So to begin with, let's talk a little bit about this collaboration. So Red Hat and Amazon Web Services provides a complete enterprise-class computing environment, and it's both simple and scalable. You can both scale up and scale out depending upon your requirements. Amazon Web Services and Red Hat Enterprise Linux give organizations access to a secure and easy management platform, and together we meet the changing needs of your business. OpenShift on Red Hat gives you the power and flexibility of having your own cluster backed by Red Hat engineering, operations, and support. And deploying that on AWS gives you the added scalability of the AWS platform. Hosting OpenShift on AWS brings you cost-effective security, reliability, and performance. So looking over some of the statistics, AWS has more than 1 million active customers in 190 countries, including nearly 2,000 government agencies, 5,000 education institutions, and more than 17,500 nonprofits. Our trusted advisor provides real-time guidance to help you provision your resources following AWS best practices, and has saved customers over $350 million based on 2.6 million AWS Trusted Advisor notifications. The AWS Partner Network includes tens of thousands of consulting partners and technology partners, and membership has grown over 50% over the past 12 months. We've reduced prices more than 50 times since Amazon Web Services launched in 2006. So a decade ago, you probably wouldn't have spoken about cloud, microservices, the Internet of Things, or even containers. We didn't have practices for continuous integration, continuous delivery, or DevOps, and certainly not ChatOps. So AWS has come a long way since that first blog post announcing S3 10 years ago. AWS has been continuously expanding its services to support virtually any cloud workload, and it now has more than 50 services that range from compute, storage, networking, database analytics, application services, deployment, management, and mobile. In 2011, we released over 80 significant services features. In 2012, nearly 160. In 2013, 280. And in 2014, we launched 516. In 2015, we launched 722 new services and features, up nearly 40% year over year. When you look at an EC2 provisioned IOPS volume, you'll see that a single volume itself can range in size from 4 gigabytes to 16 TB, and you can provision up to 20,000 IOPS per volume. An instance is capable of delivering up to 48,000 IOPS per instance with consistency. The AWS Global Infrastructure is comprised of 35 availability zones in 13 geographic regions worldwide. with another 4 AWS regions and 8 availability zones coming online throughout the next year. AWS offers a number of services and features that customers can rely on. This includes a number of frameworks, development management systems, analytics offerings, and methods for connecting back to your on-premises infrastructure like Direct Connect or virtual private gateways. Red Hat and Amazon Web Services together provides you a way to extend your existing data center and the standard tools and operations that you know very well into the public cloud. We have a number of tools for connecting those resources together, such as Direct Connect, ways of importing and exporting virtual machines so that you can use those same technologies in the public cloud, templates for actual deployments, and methods for handling identity and access management that provide you a seamless integration with your authentication methods and access controls from on-premise to your Amazon cloud. And with that, I'll hand it over to Nick to talk to us a little bit more about OpenShift on AWS.
Thanks, David. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Gerasimatos, and I am a cloud evangelist for Red Hat, and I'm here to talk to you today about running Red Hat OpenShift platform on Amazon Web Services, specifically Red Hat OpenShift Dedicated. I'm sure most of you already know who Red Hat is, but for those that don't, I'll cover the basics. Red Hat is the world's #1 leading provider of commercial IT products and solutions based on open source software. We've been trusted in the industry with Amazon Web Services for more than 9 years. We have approximately 9,000 employees currently and are rapidly expanding. Red Hat has a worldwide presence, which allows us to provide enterprise-grade support, software updates, and critical vulnerability fixes rapidly. In fact, we have a track record of releasing a fix within 1 calendar day of a critical vulnerability being made public. The short story is we provide a stable and trusted platform for more than 90% of Fortune 500 companies, helping our enterprise customers achieve a 99.9% uptime. As technology continues to evolve at such a rapid pace, customers today are looking to evolve their application architectures with greater agility to meet business demands and their customer expectations. This needed agility has led the industry towards a DevOps culture where monolithic applications are being broken into microservices that can be independently updated, enabling greater speed and agility. These changes are driving many of the conversations Red Hat and Amazon Web Services are having with customers about DevOps. Many of these customers are specifically looking to shift the development and deployment process from traditional waterfall development and agile methodologies to DevOps. We're also seeing more customers asking about microservices as well. Many are looking to switch their application architectures away from existing monolithic and end-tier applications to highly distributed component services. On the infrastructure side, we're also seeing a lot of interest in Linux containers driven by the popularity of Docker, being used as an alternative to existing virtualization technologies. Containers can be a key enabler of DevOps and microservices. We're also seeing customers increasingly wanting to deploy their applications across hybrid clouds and public cloud environments such as Amazon Web Services. The emergence of these technologies helped drive Red Hat to begin developing a solution to take the best of breed and put them into a single stable and scalable container platform. With this new design, applications can be more reactive to changes as needed. Whether it be needing to scale, security fixes, performance improvements, or when performing rolling upgrades and updates, containers are well suited for microservices deployments because they're efficient and can be independently orchestrated and managed with OpenShift. These applications I've referred to are usually enterprise grade, meaning they take production traffic, run production workloads, and thus require an enterprise grade platform that is stable, provides features such as increased stability, simplified operational tasks, increased agility, and most importantly, meeting the demands and expectations of the business and its customers. This same platform needs to run both next-generation workloads, but also needs to be useful for existing traditional applications, or some refer to as legacy applications. Others refer to them as stateful services, and OpenShift was designed to not leave any application behind, regardless if they are stateless or stateful. Red Hat OpenShift has incorporated persistent storage into the application components while still retaining the ability to offer stateless cloud-native designs. All of this allows the ability to take advantage of the Docker ecosystem, instantly deploying and hosting a nearly endless range of stateful, stateless, or microservices-based applications with ease. OpenShift allows for fully automated application builds, deployment, scaling, and health management to fit most any requirement. This also allows the ability to quickly create applications on demand with simple, secure access to existing projects and workflows, along with using built-in GitHub integration. Red Hat also knows that different applications, developers, and others may require multi-language support, so it is designed to support the ability to develop applications with the language and tools that need to be successful. OpenShift allows the capability to run multiple languages, frameworks, and databases on the same platform. When it comes to containers, it's our responsibility as the largest open source company in the world to drive standards to minimize the risk of technology becoming fragmented, and thus preventing the ecosystem from being able to come together. There are 4 areas where standards are particularly important when it comes to container adoption. The first standard is one that we've been pushing for many years, the isolation of Linux containers. Most Linux distributions are building on the standards that we've already established. These include control groups, namespaces, and other key capabilities. The second standard we've embraced and helped make ubiquitous is Docker as a container format. This provides the ability to package the application with all of its dependencies into a single image. It's very important for the industry to implement this in a standard way. If everyone could rally around a single format for application, distribution, delivery, and deployment, it will make the delivery of container-based applications much easier. The third standard we've adopted is Kubernetes. Kubernetes is an orchestration framework that solves a number of problems. Kubernetes allows you to describe an application as a combination of multiple containers working together, so you can instantiate an application to meet scale requirements and make sure that the container components and microservices working together can talk to one another without broadcasting to everyone else in the world. This is done through isolation at the application level. Orchestration also delivers basic scheduling across a cluster of hosts, which is necessary if you have many applications or hosts in a multi-tenant distributed environment. Kubernetes comes to the rescue of putting order into something that would otherwise be chaos. Red Hat specifically embraced Kubernetes because it's a proven technology, it's open source with a well-thought-out governance model. In fact, Red Hat is the second largest contributor in the Kubernetes project. Kubernetes is also very flexible and extensible. It can provide a consistent orchestration standard across many different compute environments, from on-premise to Amazon Web Services, and at the same time be optimized for each of these environments. This allows for us to provide a reliable experience while at the same time offering consistency to enterprise IT, which is a critical requirement for them to combine modernizing legacy applications while pushing innovations forward. Finally, it's important to standardize on a protocol for exchanging, consuming, and publishing a container content. The container registry and its repository protocol is what you would use to publish and consume containers. Having a standard that supports the ability to federate multiple registries is very important to our customers and partners. As you can see, these standards provide consistency for complex technologies that need to work together. Some in the market believe you only need Docker to adopt containers. In reality, Docker is one important piece of a larger set of requirements that have to work together to deliver an enterprise-grade experience. The primary difference is that most other platforms are project-focused on the runtime, whereas only OpenShift includes both the runtime container as well as the REST API, coordination, and web interfaces to deploy and manage containers. Red Hat OpenShift platform has native support for Docker containers and Kubernetes orchestration. When combined with Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system, it can support web scale and enterprise container applications from the OS to application runtimes. It's also portable across 4 infrastructure footprints: physical, virtual, private cloud, and Amazon Web Services. OpenShift on Amazon Web Services allows you to take advantage of the most advanced container platform solution available, running on the largest Red Hat certified cloud services provider, Amazon Web Services. OpenShift Dedicated provides you with a flexible application platform running in an isolated environment on Amazon Web Services. Red Hat and Amazon resources provide award-winning support and professionally manage the OpenShift infrastructure, allowing you to develop and manage powerful applications while we manage everything else, letting you focus on what matters most. Currently, we support the regions of Asia Pacific, EU, US East, and US West. This is currently excluding Beijing, Sao Paulo, and Amazon GovCloud at this time. Here's a list of some of the languages and databases that OpenShift supports natively, such as Jenkins, Node.js, Python, Ruby, Perl, and much more. We also support MariaDB, MongoDB, MySQL, and other databases as well. We can also see some of the middleware services and quick start templates that OpenShift can take advantage of. This would be middleware services such as Red Hat JBoss, Red Hat Single Sign-On, and others. There are also a number of quick start templates. A few of these would be Node.js and Ruby on Rails. OpenShift allows you to take advantage of a large community of Docker-formatted Linux containers, from the Red Hat certified containers to community registries such as Docker Hub or on-premise corporate implementations. OpenShift's ability to work directly with the Docker API helps unlock it to a new world of content for your developers. The base package provides your organization with an entire OpenShift cluster set up and maintained by Red Hat running on Amazon Web Services, securely connected to your internal network. This includes base platform, application nodes, network I/O, persistent storage for stateful applications, and premium support. An additional application node, persistent storage, and network I/O can be added to expand the resources available in your cluster. I'll now pass the presentation over to Billy Hilton, Digital Services Director with the state of North Carolina.
Well, good morning, everyone. Yes, this is Billy Hilton, Digital Services Director with the state of North Carolina. It's great to be with you. So if I was with you in person, I'd ask you to raise your hands if you've ever visited a state government website or a regional government or federal government site and had a poor experience. And I'm guessing there'd be a lot of hands raised. So our governor a few years ago had a statement, a vision that interacting with state government, with North Carolina state government, should be as easy as checking scores or even shopping on your smartphone. Of course, a simple statement, but there's a lot there. The problem and challenge that we've had is over the past several years, a wildly inconsistent web and digital landscape with state government. So there are many agencies, offices, divisions, boards, and commissions across the state that had different branding and identities. The information architecture across many of these websites varied. Some sites had search, some didn't. Web accessibility, the ability for users with disabilities to interact successfully with our sites, was not so good. A lot of brand confusion, lack of standards, certainly not optimized for mobile. As late as 2012, very few of our sites were responsive or optimized for mobile. So ultimately, this resulted in a poor end-user experience. One of the main challenges was that we had multiple content management systems, different platforms to edit, manage, publish content, or no CMS at all. So there's situations even just a few years ago where content was being pushed through, say, via FTP. So we knew we needed to take a big innovative step forward to really address a range of, to really refresh our web presence for the 21st century. So work groups came together across the state, bringing in IT, communication professionals from different agencies. And we determined that ultimately what we were looking for was a unified, consistent experience across multiple agencies, multiple divisions, and a streamlined content presentation experience that wasn't so disjointed as you move through different parts of the government. The team came up with an open source solution. We determined that Drupal, the CMS, was the right framework for us. So we deployed a multi-site Drupal solution with the support of a vendor using a tool called Open Public, which brought in some government-flavored modules. There was still one issue here, and that was with our state government, there's not a culture around DevOps, around the dev staging production configuration process. In fact, we really didn't have a lot of the infrastructure and kind of middleware support needed for the modern web. So for example, no dedicated MySQL DBA or Apache sysadmin. Storage and other infrastructure pieces were very expensive. So what we did was look, right here in our backyard in Raleigh, and partnered with Red Hat and deployed the OpenShift dedicated node platform. And what that's done, it's really enabled us to really quickly over the past just about a year and a half transition a great deal of key state government websites over to this new platform. So that would be, nc.gov, our state portal, the governor's office, many of our cabinet agencies, several other offices and divisions. And by having a platform as a service that allowed few folks to manage this space and add, say Jenkins for continuous integration or Varnish server caching, the aliases very rapidly needed for dev staging and production. That allowed us to certainly save money. We needed fewer full-time employees to shift a little bit toward a DevOps culture that enabled the rapid deployment of sites and just kind of shift our overall culture with how IT interacted with communications and marketing across many different agencies to think more about citizen engagement and not so much the technology and IT part. And so as a result, again, about a year and a half in, we've seen some positive numbers. The platform has about 25 websites today. Mobile traffic has increased by about 170%, looking at May 2015 to May 2016 on the nc.gov state portal. The bounce rate has dropped. Traffic has, as a whole, increased. Again, mobile optimization, obviously very important, and out of the gate, any of these sites, as they quickly move over to our platform, are optimized with breakpoints for phone, tablet, desktop. Accessibility was baked into the platform from the beginning, and so we've improved our kind of accessibility presence from many of these sites. It's also allowed us to, going forward as new projects, whether they're web, more application, to deploy much more quickly, to kind of take, as we're looking forward over the next year or so, we're kind of shifting from what we're calling Digital Commons 1.0, which is more of the web presence, to a more DevOps culture around application development. So that might be shifting toward containerization and using Docker. So looking even further out, I'll just read a quick quote. So this is from the founder of the Drupal project from a few months ago. Today, hardly anyone questions whether to build a mobile-optimized website. A decade from now, we might be saying the same thing about optimizing digital experiences for voice or chat commands. In some of these cross-channel experiences, users will never even look at a website. So we don't think that's that far off, and with the combination of the right digital platform and the right infrastructure solution with OpenShift platform as a service, dedicated node, we think we're getting set up to be successful for when we find ourselves in more of a cross-channel environment a few years down the road. So thanks so much, everyone. Look forward to your questions in the Q&A.
Thanks so much, Billy. That was a super story. So what's next? So when you first configure your OpenShift on AWS, you'll access your OpenShift using your own Red Hat subscriptions. Pre-existing Red Hat subscriptions can easily be moved to the Amazon Web Services EC2 Elastic Cloud. Along with that, you have the option of using on-demand instances for applications and scaling up and down as you need to, and leveraging that on-demand pay for only what you use model. You have access to the full portfolio of Red Hat offerings on the AWS platform. That includes everything from the mobile application software to a full stack JBoss. So in collaboration with Red Hat, Amazon Web Services, and Amazon Web Services advanced consulting partner Rain Cloud, we've put together a proof of concepts program along with a quick start configuration that you can use to get up and running fairly quickly on AWS with OpenShift. If you have a proof of concept that you actually want to provide back to or run on AWS, we have a program in which you can submit that POC for funding back to your organization in support of that. So the quick start itself is an automated configuration that provides you the ability to run key technologies on the AWS platform and bring them up in just a few minutes. It also provides you a reference architecture that you can review so that you can implement those best practices in your own models. Moving on, if you have any questions or concerns about this, we'd like to hear everything you have. We are taking feature requests today as well, so just let us know what it is that you're looking for. So I see a question here from Ryan on what are the main benefits of using OpenShift containers. Nick, could you speak to that?
Sure, David. By implementing containers, enterprise teams can take advantage of the containers as a service platform. This gives development and IT operations teams more agility, portability, and increased control with environments. We have noticed actually developers are excited to use containers as it gives them the ability to quickly build and ship applications. So since containers are portable and can run in any environment, that's actually a way for them to move through development, test, staging, and QA into production. This actually accelerates application lifecycle, so allowing them to focus on more of their code and applications, worrying less about the underlying infrastructure the applications are being deployed on. OpenShift also allows and empowers IT operations to manage and secure their environments without slowing down a developer lifecycle process. As a container as a service platform can be configured to be self-service. OpenShift increases that security by integrating with LDAP and AD. We also have OAuth as well.
And Nick, something else I'll let you speak to is Faisal asked if there was a community version of OpenShift.
Yeah, actually there is. So we have an upstream project called OpenShift Origin. So you can actually access that and deploy it, test it. We encourage anybody to contribute to the community. So the answer is essentially yes. You can actually use the community version of OpenShift if you choose to do so.
And Manu, I see a question here about the POC and how that POC is funded. And if approved, is the credit for AWS hosting or for Red Hat OpenShift? So I'll take that question. I see Manu actually can't respond back to that. So I believe the credit is for the AWS infrastructure.
Yeah, and David, just to expand on that, so Red Hat OpenShift Dedicated is a premium service, but obviously the proof of concept that's available on Amazon Web Services allows individuals to try OpenShift, get hands-on experience with features, basically experience the simplicity, and really, for the most part, give them the ability to test drive.
And then I see that someone actually asks, are we going to get a copy of the slide deck? And so yes, we'll upload those contents to the partners section of the AWS website under Red Hat, and also we'll be emailing them out to all attendees. And I see someone asked if there was going to be a demo on how to deploy OpenShift. There will not be a demo in this particular webinar. However, we do encourage you to review the Quick Start and use that to deploy it in your own environment. Nick Mariano has asked, is there any technical limitation of running OpenShift on AWS?
Currently, there's actually no technical limitation for running OpenShift on AWS, as long as it's supported in the Docker format, you know, and it's a supported application. There technically shouldn't be any limitations. So end users could utilize images, containers that require root user privileges. For example, JBoss middleware services are available. Languages that it's supported are, you know, such as Node.js, Ruby, Python, Perl, Java. And then, you know, as I had mentioned earlier, you know, databases supported, MariaDB, MongoDB, PostgreSQL, things along those lines. You also have the ability, since it's running on Amazon Web Services, to use VPC and VPN and user authentication. As far as using existing user authentication system, you absolutely can. And that's basically it.
Jerry asked if we had a quick start guide, and we do, and that is actually in the resources section of the slide deck. So when you receive the slide deck, you'll have a direct link to that quick start guide. And then I see Joe asked if we're interested in the POC, how do we get started? There is a in the partner section of the AWS website, there is a POC link, and you can send through that Contact Us page excuse me. You can send us a detail on your proof of concept, and we will review that and get back to you on the POC process. That also is linked in the resources. And let's see. So Nick, another question here I see for you is what continuous integration tools does OpenShift on AWS support?
Good question. So you could actually use Jenkins, Git. There's actually a number of CI and CD tools that OpenShift supports currently. You can do things like source to image if you choose to do so. We're actually going to be releasing features where you can take multiple branches and actually combine them for source to image. So if there's any specific CI tools that you're looking for as far as integration, my contact info will actually be in the slide deck. So I encourage you to reach out to me. I could give you a call or whatever you're looking for, and we could actually talk about specific CI tools that you're looking for.
Okay. This is a great question for you as well, Nick. So Cassius asked, do we have full access to the masters, or is it obfuscated in any way?
So since it's actually managed by Red Hat, you don't technically have direct access to the masters from a manageability perspective. So technically it's obfuscated. So through Red Hat support, you can ask them to do configuration changes such as, adding nodes, making changes to networks, things along those lines. But the primary design of OpenShift Dedicated is to lessen the burden from the end user or the customers so that they don't actually have to worry about dealing with the masters. So you don't actually get access to the masters or the minions or nodes. So at least not currently.
And I just want to remind everyone that if we don't get to your questions, then we'll answer those directly after the webinar.
So actually, I saw a question come in about can you run nodes in your local data center and in AWS in the same OpenShift cluster? Technically, yes. So anything that you could run in your local data center, you actually have the ability to run inside AWS. So for example, if you have a Git repo that you're using in your local data center and you want to push images up to AWS, you actually have the ability to do that. So the design of it is that OpenShift is ambiguous, right? So what we really wanted to develop and build is the fact that you can have a hybrid cloud solution and not have to worry about two different subsets of OpenShift, right? So we're trying to bridge that gap and make it seamless and provide best-of-breed support, as I kind of mentioned earlier. So yes, essentially you can run nodes in your own local data center and in AWS on the same OpenShift cluster.
Okay, and Eric asked if Amazon has deployment teams that could assist with transition. So I just want to point out that both Amazon and Red Hat have professional services teams that can assist you with your infrastructure requirements. And we'll just say if you register for the proof of concept, we'll get you the OpenShift evaluation licenses and the $2,000 AWS credits. So if you'd like, you can register at the partners website or partner section of the aws.amazon.com website under the Red Hat link. So it's aws.amazon.com/partners/Red Hat.
So I actually saw a question that came in about how it's running OpenShift containers different than virtual machines. So obviously containerization is extremely different from virtualization. The OpenShift container platform uses Kubernetes and obviously the Docker engine, which creates and runs containers. So the OpenShift container platform software is essentially installed on any physical, virtual, or cloud host with a compatible operating system. So if you choose to move applications into a container, it leverages the kernel within the host operating system to run multiple root file systems. So those root file systems, obviously, we call containers. So each container shares the kernel with the host OS, which provides the ability to run multiple containers on the same host. Obviously, there is segmentation. So, everything's not open up to the outside world. So we have the ability to control access. Unlike virtual machines, also containers do not have an operating system. So there was another question that came in, and they were asking, does the container package actually run a full operating system? And the answer to that is no. It shares the underlying kernel with other containers. So containers running on a host, they're completely isolated. So the application running on the same host are unaware of each other. So actually, I saw another question come in, and they basically are wondering how exactly does OpenShift manage infrastructure. So the OpenShift container platform isn't focused on managing your infrastructure. The platform, which is infrastructure agnostic, as I mentioned before, trying to bridge that gap for hybrid, manages your application, helps ensure that they can run smoothly. So regardless of the underlying infrastructure type, it gives you the ability to be agile, portable, and provides the ability to control. So your IT operations team is still responsible for managing the actual infrastructure, but it still allows you to move towards a DevOps type of mentality, and then remove the underlying infrastructure management, right? So OpenShift Dedicated, the point of it is to run on shared hardware on AWS or within your own data center. It's another question had asked, can you run it in your own data center? Yes, you could run it in your own data center, and you could run it on AWS. So, and it's actually not, it is dedicated to a single customer, but it is obviously multi-tenant. So I actually saw another question as well. Great question, by the way. So they were asking how they could get started in containerizing applications. So obviously, with the proof of concept and the quick start that we released, the best way to get started is using Amazon Red Hat OpenShift Quick Start. It's a simplified installation of OpenShift that will actually guide you through the process of getting OpenShift up and running. So after OpenShift is up and running, you create a new OpenShift application using the web console. You could run the OC new app command from the CLI if you choose to do so. OpenShift creates a new application by specifying source code. So source code, images, templates. The new app command also looks for images on the local data center installation if you're choosing to do so. You could also do integration with Docker registry, or you could actually pull from the OpenShift image stream. So if you specify source code, new app attempts to construct and build configurations that build your source code into an application image. It also constructs a deployment configuration that deploys that new image and serves to provide load balanced access to the deployment that's running your images.
So Nicholas, I see what's next for AWS and Red Hat from Joe. And I think I'll field that one a little bit myself here. I think we're, in terms of what's next for AWS and Red Hat, we're continuously integrating together. We are a strongly collaborative partnership, and we expect to bring many more things to bear on the on the AWS infrastructure, and to create joint offerings moving forward that are strongly directed by all of our customer needs.
Yeah, and David, to expand on that, so that's actually a very complex question. there's no way that I actually have enough time to go through all of that because we're actually coming to the end of the webinar. I would strongly encourage you to reach out to me or your local TAM. We could actually go into deep details as far as roadmap. So we can clarify what's next for AWS and Red Hat for the OpenShift platform dedicated. I'm sorry that there's no way for me to actually deep dive into that. I would need at least 20 or 30 minutes to go into that. So I also see another question. It's a question / comment. So they actually were asking or stating that they definitely have to re-architect their application to migrate to OpenShift to make their app compatible. So they're actually asking where information and documentation is located. Some of that information is going to be disseminated in the slide deck that we're going to be sharing. Also, once again, you can reach out to me or your local resources from Red Hat, and we'd be more than glad to kind of deep dive into that and provide you as much information and documentation that you're looking for. Also, I encourage you to go to the OpenShift dedicated website. It's actually pretty simple. It's openshift.com/dedicated. You could find a wealth of information that's located there. So, you know, short stories, you could reach out to me if you choose to do so, or you could actually take a look on the openshift.com dedicated website.
Well, with that, I'll say thank you to everyone who's participated today, and special thanks to Mr. Hilton for joining us and giving us a deep dive into their use of OpenShift on AWS. If you'd like, reach out, like Nicholas said, to either Nicholas or myself, David Duncan, and we'll put you in touch with the right resources to get you what you need.
Great, and thank you also to our presenters for a fantastic, great presentation, and to the audience for taking the time today. Within the next 2 days, you will also receive a follow-up email containing both links to the slide deck and the recording. Again, thank you for your attention and engagement, and we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Thank you again.